Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer!
Hello,
Right. Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
Bonjour. Salut. Bienvenue. Je m'appelle Jodi. Il s'appelle
Nick. Nick.
Nick. Alright, and that's all I know.
Au revoir.
Je suis reacting to a video.
Reacting to a video. That's very French.
Je suis.
Journalistes. Surprised you didn't use that. On sent les toilettes. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know, and I'm good if I go to France or any French-speaking country. How are you guys doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. We are looking at another Trevor Noah video, but a different type of Trevor Noah video. We've got a lot of requests in the last few months since we've been starting to react more consistently to Trevor Noah about checking out his behind-the-scenes stuff on The Daily Show. And so here we are. Van Wilder, thank you so much for the request on this one. What are we checking out today, Jods?
Trevor responds to criticism from the French ambassador.
Is that why you're doing the French stuff?
Yeah. My gosh. Idiot!
Oh, stupide. All right, so American. So we're gonna go ahead and check out this to see what it's like to see him in his different kind of element where he's not doing stand-up, but he's doing his daily show. And I'm assuming this was filmed concurrently, obviously, but like in between like the actual show itself. And he's just talking to the audience, I guess. We're gonna find out. And if you like this video and you want more from Boring Reviews, don't forget to
Like this video, then hit the subscribe button so that you know you can be part of our fan bam, and then hit that notification bell so you can be aware of our next upload videos. I also thought of another sentence. Je parle français et anglais.
You
Shall we watch?
can't speak English
And French.
and French.
Not really, just
Ding,
a
ding.
little bit of French.
All right, don't forget to hit that bell. Very important. And if you want to see other Trevor Noah reactions, we have them all on the channel. Their own little beautiful playlist. Here we go.
I wanted to share this little story with you. I got into a little bit of trouble with the French government.
Whoops.
I know, the French government. So what happened was, let's start at the beginning. France won the World Cup. And
From France, care.
And so on the show, we celebrated that, and I had this joke where I said Africa won the World Cup. Right? Yeah. And I was shocked at how angry a lot of French people got. Like, genuinely, a lot of French people were angry, and they were like, "Oh, Trevor, how can you say this? Why will you say these things? And, you know, this is horrible." And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, not everyone likes every joke that you tell, and I get that. But this was interesting. I got a letter from the ambassador of France.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll read it to you. It was about that joke. And he says, I'll try to read it how I hope he wrote it, which was, he says, "Sir, I watched with great attention your July 17th show when you spoke of the victory of the French team at the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia final, which took place last Sunday. I heard your words about an African victory. Nothing could be less true." Now, first of all, I think it could have been less. I could have said they were Scandinavian. That would have been less true. That would have been less true. He says, "As many of the players have already stated themselves, their parents may have come from another country, but the great majority of them, all but 2 out of 23, were born in France. They were educated in France. They learned to play soccer in France. They are French citizens.
Yep, I do too now.
They're proud of their country, France. The rich and various backgrounds of these players is a reflection of France's diversity. France is indeed..." Now, that line there was interesting. "The rich and various backgrounds of these players is a reflection of France's diversity." Now, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I think it's more a reflection of France's colonialism.
I like his accent.
Because it's not like it's just like random play. Like, they all have something in common. Like, all of those players, if you trace their lineage, you're like, how did you guys become French? Like, how did your family start speaking French? Oh, okay. All right. They say here, he says, France is indeed a cosmopolitan country, but every citizen is part of the French identity, and together they belong to the nation of France. Unlike in the United States of America,
Here we go.
France does not refer to its citizens based on their race, religion, or origin. To us, there is no hyphenated identity. Roots are an individual reality. By calling them an African team, it seems you are denying their Frenchness. This, even in jest, legitimizes the ideology which claims whiteness as the only definition of being French. So now, here's the thing. All right, first things first. I understand what he's saying, because I read up on this afterwards, right? I take criticism. I'll listen to what somebody says to me. You know, I genuinely believe you should. And what it turns out is, in France, a lot of like Nazis in that country use the fact that these players are of African descent to shit on their Frenchness, you know? So they go, you're not French. You're from Africa. Go back to where you came from. You're not French. They use that as you know, as a line of attack.
Okay.
Now, my opinion is, coming from South Africa, coming from Africa, and even watching the World Cup in the United States of America, black people all over the world were celebrating the Africanness of the French players, right? Not in a negative way, but rather in a positive way, going, look at these Africans who can become French. You know what I mean? It's a celebration of that achievement. And so this is what I find weird in these arguments, is that people go, they're not African, they're French. Then I'm like, why can't they be both? Right? Why is that duality only afforded to a select group of people? Why can they not be African? So what they're arguing here is, in order to be French, you have to erase everything that is African? Because what do they mean when they say that? Our culture, our this, like, so you cannot be French and African at the same time, which I vehemently disagree with. I go, you've seen those players, I love them. Paul Pogba, N'Golo Kante, I've watched all of them. Like, I love those players, and I love how African they are and how French they are. I don't take their Frenchness away, but I also don't think you need to take their Africanness away. You know, and that is what I love about America. America's not a perfect country, but what I love about this place is that people can still celebrate their identity in their Americanness. You can go to a St. Patrick's Day parade in America celebrating that you are Irish. You can go to a Puerto Rican Day parade in America still celebrating the fact that you're Puerto Rican and American at the same time. You can celebrate Juneteenth as a black person and be like, yo, I'm African American, which is the duality of the two worlds. But here they're going, no, you are only French. And here's why it vexes me, to be honest. This is what I find interesting, is like, when I read stories from Africa and when I watch what politicians say, especially in France, about African migrants, when they are unemployed, when they may commit a crime, or when they are considered unsavory, it's the African immigrants. When their children go on to provide a World Cup victory for France, we should only refer to them as France. And we even saw it with that African man who climbed the building to rescue the baby. Do you remember that? We watched him climb that building. He rescued the child, and then they gave him French citizenship. They said, you are now French. So now I'm going, so is he now no longer African? Is that what you're saying? So when he was on the ground, he was African. And then he climbed up, and as soon as he rescued the baby, now he's French. So if he dropped the baby, the African dropped the baby.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like,
and how is that not racism? In a sense.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that you need, and here's, like I say, again, with respect, I understand what the ambassador is saying. I'm not joining the attack. And I know, don't get me wrong, I know. There's like, you know, we live in a world where, like, nuance is something that is in short supply. And so you will find, you know, in America, for instance, the alt-right saying, that's what we've been saying. They're not French. And we're saying, it's like, but if Trevor says it, it's not racist. But if we say it's racist, like, yeah, I'll say yeah. You know why? Because I believe context is everything. Yeah. There are certain things you can say to somebody that, like, when I say to my friends, what's going on, my nigga? And if a white person came and said the same thing, yeah, there's a big difference. When I'm saying they're African, I'm not saying it as a way to exclude them from their Frenchness, but I'm rather using it to include them in my Africanness. I'm saying, I see you, my French brother of African descent. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. When somebody else says it the other way, you can use the same line in different ways. People are like, so it's different? Yeah, it's different. It can be different. It's like somebody saying, oh, so if you play with your naked child, that's a problem, but if I do it, I'm a pedophile? Yeah. There's a big difference. There's a huge difference. So I will continue to praise them for being African because I believe that they are of Africa. Their parents are from Africa, and they can be French at the same time. And if French people are saying they cannot be both, then I think they have a problem and not me.
Oh, snap. Mr.
That was good.
Noah. Yeah.
It wasn't his traditional comedy, comedic reaction, skit, whatever, that we react to. He had some funny elements, but he had truth in that. I mean, I always say, like, you know, I'm not Irish or Scottish, but like my family's from there, so it's in my DNA. It's my heritage. My family came from those, so I consider that part of me, right? Like that's where I come from. Absolutely. And so, yeah, if these people are from Africa, then why can't they be both? Sure, they're born in France, so they are French, but it doesn't mean all their lineage is based off of France.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I understand what the French are saying. Like, they want to keep that French pride. Like, no, don't shortchange our victory by saying that it's just because some of our players come from Africa or their families come. I don't know the whole genealogy background. I have no idea.
No.
That's why it took me a few minutes to understand why they were mad at that joke, and why the joke was the joke. But at the same time, I learned a few things here just from listening to Trevor because of his perspective. Because he is someone that is, like he said, he's from South Africa, works in America, does stand-up all around the world, but he doesn't forget his identity. He doesn't forget who he is. He doesn't come to America and within 3 weeks like, yeah, I'm American, forget everything else I was before in the past.
Yeah.
He has that pride, he has that culture, but he also has that perspective, right? And for someone who, doesn't matter what country you're from, but if you don't have lineage to a certain country like Africa, you're not going to feel the same way about that because you don't have that lineage. Like you said, I have the Peterson name, my last name comes from Denmark. So there's a lot of Danish blood in my DNA. It's not like a whole lot, but they're still in there. And I wear that with a badge of honor, but I still don't know a lot about the Danish, right? But I consider myself still Danish, right? Because that's where the name comes from, for crying out loud. As well as American, as well as English, as well as German, all those different, nationalities that make up me, and everyone has their story. But I do like what he had mentioned, where it's like, why can't they be both, right? And when that dig came in America, like, oh, I'm like America, where they have to be this and hyphen this or that. I loved his response to that. One, because it was a great response, like, take that. But two, it's like, why we got to bring that into it? Like, I'm surprised that that's the French ambassador, and I'm not speaking ill will towards him, but him or her. I'm surprised that's the French ambassador who is, like, really offended about it, right into this guy, and then throwing American, like, on the bus right there and to try to prove their point. It's a joke. Just let the joke go. It offends you so much, you're really sensitive about it, and it is what it is. USA Cricket right now is, still growing. It's still down here, Associate Nation. I follow cricket, and they're slowly growing, and right now they're in a tournament to try to get to the World Cup, and they've won their first 2 matches. They have one more to get to the semifinals and all that kind of stuff. Most of their players, their families' backgrounds are India, South Africa, the Caribbean, right? There's only a few of them that were born and raised in America, of those players. If they go on and miraculously, let's say they win a World Cup at some point, right? Am I going to care if someone's like, oh, those are Indian players, those are South African players? No, I don't care. USA's got a World Cup.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. You can be as jealous as you want. I don't care. But I understand. I'm just surprised that someone in that position would make that. But you're right. This was a different type of video for Trevor Noah. But you can see, like, his passion. You can see, like, how it kind of drove him a little crazy, and he had several great points in there, so it was nice to watch.
The only thing I'll say that I can see, especially like listening to you talking to, is we are very used to that because we come from a blended like country. Besides the Native Americans, nobody's native here.
Right.
Like everybody came here from other countries. And so we're kind of used to everybody just being, it's just a melting pot.
Yeah.
But maybe in other countries where you don't have so much immigration there, you are used to like you're never gonna, I mean, you may, but it's very, very rare that you're gonna find 100% of whatever here. Unless they just moved here from
But
another
don't you
country.
think that's rare in other countries too? Like
can
France
be.
is going to have a lot of immigrants too through the years.
They do. But I just see maybe. I'm just thinking maybe
Right.
they probably have a stronger because if you're French and your grandfather's French and his grandfather's French and his grandfather's French, then you have a strong line of French in you because your family's just never left France.
Right.
But here in America, besides again the Native Americans, we just had everybody coming from other, so we don't really have that. And even in the Native American tribes, a lot of them have integrated. And so, there's that. So I think we're just used to all being multiple nationalities, where maybe you're going to have it in other countries, yes, but it's not like a lot of these countries were founded on that.
No, I hear you. And again, it comes back to just perspective. It's what your experience is what your perspective. And I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Let us know what you think about this video, about his response, about our thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
Au revoir, salut, and can't think of the other. No, there's a see you soon.
See you soon. Adios.
Benvenido.
There you go.
Beneto. I don't know, something like that. See you later.